Now, Nkeiruka Nwitte-Eze is a public health specialist and event planner, and she plays a significant role in our discussion today. So, ladies and gentlemen, and the ladies on Jasiri, join me as I welcome Nkeiruka Nwitte-Eze. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Nkeiruka.
Thank you.
Thank
you for having me.
All right, so your story truly touched us. So let's start from the beginning. Can you walk us through the events that led to you coming to Jasiri?
So on Wednesday morning, actually, I was preparing to go to work. I'm an event planner, and so I had a delivery for the next day, actually a catering job. And my sister too was equally going to work. And our cleaner called my sister's attention to a person who was on the floor. Now, at the time, I was not even aware of what was happening outside. My sister didn't know the person, given that she's usually not around. So she called me, and I told her that this person looks familiar, but I am not very sure who the person is. But I know that I've seen the person in the compound. So since I was on the tenants group, I decided to reach out to all the tenants to find out who actually knows the woman. We took a picture of her. So luckily, we called the particular tenant, and he said it was his wife. Also, my brother was around, so I knew that my brother was someone who knew a lot of people in the area. So I called him, he came, and he identified the woman. He was like, this woman is pregnant. So I called the woman's husband, the woman in question, and I told him that I found his wife on the floor in front of the gate, because that was where the woman was. And he was like, her auntie is on the way. But after checking her pulse, because my sister initially checked her pulse before alerting me, and when I checked her pulse, it was a bit faint. Now, both my sister and I are health workers. So I checked her pulse, and it was faint. So, and she was bringing out substances from her mouth. I don't know what it was. So I put her on her left side so that she doesn't choke. And then I also called the husband, and I said, she's not getting better. And I told him, your wife isn't getting better and she's still unconscious. Do I take her to the hospital? The husband was like, I should please take her to the hospital. Her auntie will meet us there. So I told him, okay, I'm taking her to Carroll General Hospital. Now, when getting to the hospital, we drove in, and we drove like just in front of the entrance. And so I went down to call the emergency staff. I went to the A&E, and I met a male nurse, and then there was also a lady there. I don't know if she's a nurse or just a medical staff. But I told them that I have an unconscious person in the car. Please, I need a stretcher. That was what I asked for. And they were like, I should come closer and talk to them. I was like, this is an emergency. And one in question is pregnant. And then the male nurse was like, we don't have an antenatal wing here. And I was like, isn't the first thing supposed to be to resuscitate her before deciding where to refer her to? And so the lady in the office was like, she urged him to come with me. And so he took a pair of latest gloves and he followed me. Now, I naturally assumed that maybe the stretcher was at a door, or I missed it in a hurry or something. But getting there, he came to the car. He wasn't with a stretcher or anything, or a wheelchair, nothing. And so my sister and I were like, where is the stretcher? And he was like, we shouldn't teach him his job. And we were like, this is not the matter of teaching your job. The woman in question is unconscious. You need to take her in, and you need to start treatment immediately. And another man in the hospital now said, do we want them to treat her or not? That was the statement he made. And I think that was what ticked us off, because we were like, it's unethical to ask such a question. This is a hospital, and what we do here, and what you do here is treat. So why would you ask us such a question? If we say no, are you saying you're not going to treat her? So it kind of turned into a fracas there. Eventually, they admitted her into the hospital, and we had a bit of an issue getting her the card, and her husband's number was no longer going through, so we couldn't reach anyone. Well, my brother said he knew a friend of hers close to the area, so he was going to go get the friend. And since my sister and I had other errands to run, we should go on about our day, and then he will stay back with the lady and get her friend to assist, because we all didn't know her name and we didn't know anything about her. So while we were driving out of the hospital to do what we have all agreed to do, the security at the gate locked the hospital gate and told us that we can't leave, that we need to get permission. So we're like, permission from who? He was like, he doesn't know, but we need to get permission. And I think we were like, open the gate and let us through. If you cannot tell us why you're holding us hostage, because we feel like we are being held hostage. What are you people holding us for? And while we were having this conversation, two relatives of the lady in question came into the compound, into the hospital. Now my brother recognized them, and so he took them into the ward, took them to the patient in question, got her card, did all the registrations necessary, and then he came back to the gate. And then they still refused to allow us go, and involved the hospital authorities, and then involved the police. And then the police took us to the station. We were asked to write a statement regarding what happened. At this time, the woman we took to the hospital was already discharged. So she came to the hospital, she came to the police station rather, and seeing the situation, she got some human rights officials involved. She went to their office and she called them, and they came to the police station. And for some reason, so basically we went to court. From the court, they denied us bail. And that was how the charges changed actually. And
So what were
they
you
said
charged
something
with?
about domestic violence. From nowhere, we started hearing that we beat up the woman in question and took her to the hospital. We had assault. We heard a lot of things. In fact, when they were reading our charges, we weren't sure who they were talking about.
Wow.
So, but the next thing, bail was denied. We're sent to Kefi prison.
So how long were you in prison with your sister?
1 day.
1 day.
We were bail on Thursday. That was the next day.
Nkeiruka, so all of this happened this past Wednesday. This is Tuesday now. Tomorrow will make it 1 week.
Yeah.
So because you helped a pregnant woman who fainted outside of your compound, you ended up being charged for domestic violence and found yourself in Kefi prison. So I need to ask, because I've been following this on social media a lot. This woman fainted again. You were out over the weekend, and I saw an update from you that she fainted again in front of your compound or inside the compound.
Yes. In front of the compound again.
So what happened this time that she fainted?
This time, we came out and we just saw her at the gate again. She was practically struggling for life. She was throwing up and just similar to what we saw on Wednesday. But this time we're like, we're not going to touch her because we came back from prison the previous day. So once beaten and multiple times shy, I believe. So we're like, we're not going to touch her. What we're going to do is we called the husband, who was still not around, and we told him that she has fainted again, so he should get his family members to come and get her. Then we called the police, and when we called them, they initially said their van. They initially they came basically. They eventually came, and when they came, they had to do some investigations, and then got to the house and then searched the house and saw some evidences. So they took her and then they took her to the station. At the time, her family members had also come, took her to the hospital. At the time, her family members had also come.
Wow, so please, I just want to know, so now that all this is it over? Your case, has it been dismissed? Or what is the status of the case that was filed?
So even though she came out of the hospital and said that you guys had done nothing to her, you're still facing charges in court?
Yes.
So these charges came
But
from...
we're still going to court. The matter hasn't been dismissed.
Dismissed, yes.
Just for clarity purposes, who charged you
filed the
with,
charges?
with domestic violence?
Is that what?
Who charged you?
Who's the complainant?
Who's the complainant?
The police and the hospital.
Oh.
Wow.
So did you assault anybody in the hospital? Did you push someone? Did you fight someone?
No. Actually, we were the ones pushed.
So do you have...
We were the ones verbally assaulted because we were called Ashawo from the hospital staff. They told us they were going to slash our tires. They said we are women and we must be obedient.
What?
Then they called us empty vessels.
Please let me ask a question. When the police came and got involved, did they ask you what happened, or where did they get the information from that got them to file those
They
charges?
didn't ask us what happened at the hospital. At the hospital, they didn't ask us what happened. All they said was, we have to go back into the hospital. That was what they said. And those were the people that we asked on what grounds. And then they said they had it on good information that the relative of the woman in question was not here. And we told her that's not true. Before we left this place, we ensured that the woman in question was awake. And we are also very much aware that the woman in question, her family members, two relatives, one from the husband's side and one from hers, her auntie, were both present. So they asked us to take them to the ward and show them and point the people out. We did that. We pointed both the lady and her aunties out. Then they said the DPO wanted to see us. That was how the police case started.
So do you have a lawyer representing you? Because you mentioned earlier that the woman, when she woke up, actually had to get some human rights organizations involved. So as it is right now that the case has not been dismissed, do you have legal representation?
Yes, we have legal representation.
Okay, fantastic. Nkeiruka, I need to ask, how has this impacted you personally, emotionally, even professionally, yourself and your sister? At the end of the day, you guys wanted to help someone, a pregnant woman who had fainted outside your compound, and you end up in jail charged with domestic violence of somebody you do not know. How has this affected you?
Honestly, initially, I would say my emotions were everywhere. Anger wasn't one of them, but sadness, bitterness to an extent, because I didn't understand the turn of events. That's just the honest truth. But the truth is, it doesn't change who we are. This is how we have been raised. And this is not the first time we are helping someone we don't know where there is a medical emergency. We've done this over time. My mom is an emergency staff, and even when we see people on the road who are accident victims, we help them. So this is nothing new to us. And I feel like one bad experience isn't going to change who we are. We're going to keep helping people. I know people feel like we are being stubborn, and some people will say, can't we turn the other way? The truth is we can't. It is the right thing to do. As humans and equally as health workers. And this is how my father raised us, and this is what he would have wanted us to continue to do. So this changes nothing.
Said Nkeiruka, I almost nicknamed her Mother Teresa of Nigeria.
I mean, to be honest, it's applaudable, right? But not everybody would see it that way. I'm sorry, not sorry, but it doesn't change who I am, but it changes my reaction.
How I respond.
I had an experience recently where I was driving by and I saw a dispatch guy. Obviously, a car had hit him. He was struggling for his life. I didn't know what to do. Of course, I didn't stop because I can't stop to help. They would tag you, the person, you were the one that hit him, that's why you're calling. In fact, to put a call through was a problem because what if I call and they say, why is it only you that is calling? Why are you the one at the scene? So there's so many, I would say gone are the days, but I don't think there ever was a time where people can just help freely and be thanked for it, for being good Samaritans. But now, you would only want to do good because, yes, I get your point in Nkeiruka, because I mean it's who you are. But at the end of the day, we're not even asking for accolades. But are you going to get in trouble for doing good? That's the problem.
And if you get into trouble again, because listen, I mean we're all humans. We are moved differently, and you say that's how you were raised by your dad. But if you get into trouble again, then what? You didn't see this coming. That you would spend a night in jail and that you would be in court, and we see that, and you have learned. You said at first your emotions were everywhere, which is fine, but to actually lean yourself to doing that, or getting involved in that kind of situation again, wouldn't it be
the ladies are struggling.
I have one question though. Nkeiruka, you said that, I mean, it won't change who you are. It won't stop you from doing good. If you were to do this over again, if time were to be reversed and you were to do this over again with this information you have, if you wanted to help that woman, how would you go about it without putting yourself and your sisters in trouble?
Frankly, I don't know. Because I wouldn't want someone to, I can't stand to see someone else die. Life is very sacred. And somehow in your subconscious, you hope that if for any reason your family or your friend or anybody like that is ever in this situation, you will hope that people would be there to come through for that person. So I don't see what I would have done differently, to be honest.
So Nkeiruka, there are people who are watching right now. They're hearing this story, and the next person who needs help that they don't know, that they can't vouch for, they're likely going to pass by. And you're also giving us a message that as much as it is within our power, we should help where we can. So are there lessons in this for you? Even if you say you'll still do this again, and you're not sure if you would do it differently, are there lessons that people can take away from your own situation?
Yes. I think we should be more careful. No matter how easy it looks, that's one. And I also think one of the lessons I've learned from this is that eventually the truth will come to light, no matter how long it stays, because we're already in prison. And one thing is, a clear conscience would never, ever, ever bear any accusation. So my dad will always say, as long as your hands are clean, nothing can happen to you. And I think that's just a testament to that. So we take the bad with the good. There are lessons here, but I think I will do it again. That's all I can say.
Wow.
Honestly, at this particular juncture, I have to say, Nkeiruka, we commend your strength and your resilience in the face of such adversity. And I want to say thank you for being a true hero. Even though you had no cape on, I might have to sew you one, but it will be made of Ankara, and there might be no platinum or plutonium or something inside it. I want to encourage everyone listening to never hesitate to lend a helping hand, even though in the face of adversity. We have a responsibility to look out for one another and stand up for what we consider right, no matter the circumstances.